in September 27th, 1967, when I first arrived at Don Muang Airport, I got hit with the humidity, the heat, and the scent of Bangkok. I fell in love.
I like the country, I like the people, I like the climate, I like the food. And I met a beautiful girl and I got married and I stayed. And I'm happy I stayed because the longer I stayed, the more my home country changed. And I had less and less incentive to go back.
Came here twice on rest and relaxation trips from Vietnam. First time, that was in 1969, 1970. I spent more time probably out of the U.S. now than I have in the U.S.
Came here several times with the U.S. Army, TDY, temporary duty here. And I like it. My kind of place back then. I like the Thai people because they were really good people and they didn't steal, didn't lie, and didn't cheat. They learned all this from us.
I'm remembering a particular man that I met a couple days ago who said, I've been coming to this bar for 30 years. I said, why? And he goes, because I feel like it's my bar.
And he walks in the door and he looks at this place and he says, oh my God, this is exactly like America. And I looked at him, I says, Peter, you've never even been to the United States. And he says, I know, but this is the way I dream it looks.
Wound up here and George knew I have little money, and then I was staying in Don's room before Don came, and I told you, and then I hated that carpet, and then I don't know who was staying in here. The guy moved out, and George said, you want to move up there? And I said, oh yeah, great, no carpet, never mind, you know.
Was in the military for 20 years, retired as a colonel, and it was all a lot of fun. Finished up military at the Pentagon, and then moved over to the White House as the National Defense press spokesman for defense and security matters. This was a sort of an enclave for foreigners. It was I was introduced to the place, which in some of these places at that time, the Texan was one of them. It's always better to be introduced, because when somebody strange walks in, you get these sort of scant looks and who are you?
Still not a place that people wander into, you know. The floor here is cracked because somebody let an elephant through the front door one time. And it's still cracked, you can see that, you know.
Yeah. Some bars it's a rolling clientele, and others like the Madrid or the Lone Star, and others, this group comes here all the time. They don't go anyplace else, or very seldom go anyplace else.
Military people are kind of like glue. Once you're glued together, you never come apart. You know? Whatever branch that you're in. I was in the Air Force, of course, but probably the backbone of this place would be the Army people that over the years, but a lot of Marines have come here.
It's a period before political correctness. It was a period when people who got their hands dirty found a place where they could talk together.
People that were in the CIA in those days, you know, I mean, you talk about Landry and Shirley and
all those guys were here.
Tony Poe. These guys were, they made their own rules as they went along.
Tony Poe was a legendary CIA paramilitary up in Laos. And it was interesting because Tony had told me that during his time up there in Nam Yu, that the tribesmen, the Hmong tribesmen under Vang Pao, would bring in ears, and he would count them and then pay them in kip, which was a Lao currency. And one day Tony was up in this village and he saw this little boy running around without an ear. And he says, "What happened to your ear?" And the boy says, "My father took it to get money from the Americans." And Tony was so angry. He says, "Okay, now I want you to bring in the heads." So Tony had this collection of heads, and he would get roaring drunk and fly over the different communist leaders' headquarters in an Air America helicopter, roaring drunk with a bag of heads and throwing heads out the helicopter at them. So these are the kind of conversations that were going on around me.
I mean, the fellows that I know that are in that outfit now don't have the same sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? They don't have the same sort of innovativeness that those fellows did.
They're on a much tighter string.
Yeah,
would be my guess. You know, the Jack Shirleys and Landrys. These kind of people were raising their own armies, their own militias.
Yeah.
They were can-do kind of people, hands-on, who understood how to find the flexibility in a bureaucratic system to equip, man, feed, and march a private army. And that's what these guys did.
Yeah.
I proved it and shed blood and came back and was too young to get a drink or vote. Now what am I going to do back there and I'm just back from Vietnam and want to go into a bar and listen to a band and they tell I'm sorry, you're too young to come in here. Well, I think I'll just get on a plane and go back over here where these lovely girls are and no rules. You make your own rules. It's my checkerboard, my time, my money. I can create my own world here if I want to.
I did 2 tours from September 67 through September 69. Funny story. I go up about August of 69 and I go up to my commander whom I loved dearly. Oh, magnificent story about that commander. But I loved him dearly. And I went up to him and presented myself officially and I said, "Sir, I'd like to have a 3rd tour." And he looked at me and he went, "Sergeant Johnson, you've been here long enough. I think you got to go back to the United States and learn how to be an American now."
America's the best country I ever lived in, by far. It's got its downfalls. I mean, it's got its areas I don't like, but, you know, out of all the countries I've been to, America is the best country, in fact. I just live here. It's not my country. It's not my place. If I don't like what's happening here, I'll leave. But America's my country. And I don't mind speaking about America. And I just think it's a very dangerous place. And I'm tired of America having to take the lead on any damn thing. I supported Lyndon B. Johnson. Who knew he's going to turn out to be an asshole and put us in there, you know? But yes, I like Bush, but I didn't like him, the part where he tried to do what's right and go and rebuild it. Who gives a shit? Let them fucking eat shit and die. You think they would help us? No. How many countries ever helped America? They always got their hand out. Zero.
In 1966, I bought my first ladies' drink on Pat Pong Road. I was with the Army Security Agency, Chinese linguist, 2-year station here. Then I went back and, did all what I had to do, and eventually I thought I'd wash up on China's shores. But as it turned out, 10 years ago, I ended up back on Thailand shores. So here I am, above the Lone Star. Rumor Control Headquarters has it that you can actually call and book a brawl. You know what I'm saying? I'm not so sure that's true. But yeah, that would be a misconception. But that it's maybe a very weird place where old vets from different wars sit around and rehash battles or make-up battles that they may or may not have fought in and that kind of thing. And I can assure you, every battle we mention is real, and we did all those things.
Well, there was every now and then there was the odd fight. I mean, there'd always be that, you know. I mean, guys do disagree on certain things, and then there would be the odd little punch-up. It's happened a few times, you know, that there was a little bit of a, but that all got smoothed over. And the next day, a guy either walked in and apologized or said, "Jesus Christ, what did I do?" And the good thing about Thailand, and one of the reasons a lot of guys are still here, is the Thais are very forgiving. You know, you can make a complete asshole out of yourself. And then tomorrow, you walk in and say, hey, I screwed up yesterday. I say, oh, you were drunk, it's okay. Or even better is if you're old and drunk, you got a double whammy. You're an old man and you're drunk. They don't, you're old, it's okay. You're drunk, it's okay. You know?
The wires are still in the wall.
But you know, the wires in the wall could be.
It could be at anything. You know, that could be cable TV.
Or it could be a bookie operation. You don't know.
But George said that was the truth, because at that time, the Iranian embassy, right, was just next door. And so that's why the CIA had the listening post upstairs. Apparently, that's what George said. And others have said that. So yeah, I believe that to be true.
Well, I do know a little bit. It was actually located on the roof, and they placed a listening station, and it was pretty much aimed at the Iranian embassy, which is directly across from there, and that was, or so I understand, but that was where they did. Were able to try and catch up, and this was during some difficult times when the Shah had been taken over, and the Americans were held custody at the or held kidnapped at the embassy, and so throughout those times that was a good local base. George supported it wholeheartedly and did anything he could for him.
We signed an agreement with Air America that we wouldn't talk about anything for 10 years. Yeah, that's it. People who say, oh, I can't talk about it was classified, 99% of the time that's bullshit. Because there's nothing classified anymore to amount to anything. You know? And that's one of the first giveaways on somebody who's claiming to be something they're not.
It's like looking at a ruby, you know, you can tell very quickly if you got the genuine article or you got a synthetic. And if a synthetic came walking in the door here who claimed to be, you know, in the Vietnam War and did this and that and never was, the hardcore guys in here would spot him and call him out. And if they were kind, you'd never see him again. I mean, he'd walk out of here and continue walking is what I mean.
I just broke a guy's nose a few months ago. I listened to him for 15 years, bullshitting about the military. He said he was a door gunner on a UH-58, that's a Huey helicopter in Vietnam, and he had a 50 caliber machine gun. They ain't no put 50 cals, and no door gunner, that's an M60, I'm afraid. Hey, and this guy, I listened to him for 15 years, and I broke his nose. Yep, boom, boom, broke his nose. End of that. You broke my nose.
I said to him, look, George, you cannot kick me out, you know? That I jump off the building, and George said, that's all I need now, a dead German in front of my bar.
You know, the word on the square from everybody I've spoken to over my trip here is that maybe April is going to be the end. And that's quite possible. And it seems that there are quite a few people making contingency plans to leave. Not only bar owners, but other businesses in this square block.
You go over it, it continues on. Hopefully this won't end. It sounds like it might first part of next year. There are always other places. But you'd hate to see it because this is iconic, and this is a place that was special in history, probably more special maybe than any other club or place in town.
Well, what's going on? Well, I'm moving because they're bringing the wrecking ball in about 2 months to knock down the Washington Square to put in another hotel shopping complex like Bangkok needs another hotel shopping complex.
Quite honestly, it really doesn't matter that much because physically, I don't care what happens. Physically, the bars could be here, but the people are all dying.
And so ended an era. Most of my friends are gone. Very few left. And it won't be long till I'm gone too. And we had what we had when we had it. You can't grasp straws or hang on to old things. Time does march on and you become history somewhere along the line. And I guess that's another reason why you stay here, that you were asking about. The dead aren't dead. We'll just see the next crew change. They're not dead. Even though they are dead, they're not dead. You know that thing we say in the military that they shall not grow old as we are left grow old? Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the setting of the sun and in the morning. You remember it.
I am the last of probably 4 combat soldiers that were really there in places and were dying out at an incredibly age. So I'm the dinosaur, but I would rather think of myself as the unicorn. Much prettier than a dinosaur. Much more mystique. That's throat cancer for you. Don't do that. It was free. Don't do that. Compliments of the U.S. Army. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. Just Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. I'm from Virginia. Country road.
con đến từ giống chữ từ hai con ơi con đến từ giống chữ là từ hai mãi nơi bom bê mãi nơi bom bê